Now let's watch Chris lead a group of parents, all of whom have young children. This is a psychoeducation group, and she utilizes Adlerian theory to focus both the teaching and learning. I really like the presence of humor and how Chris instructs the members to talk with each other, not just to her. This tends to increase sharing and learning from each other. You'll see her ask pointed questions to make members think, and she's also comfortable sharing her expertise about children and their development, as she is actively aware that well-timed information can provide important takeaways for the members as they seek to improve their skills and their relationships with their children. The way Chris wraps up the group is a great example of how to close.
So everyone seems to be asking this question here this evening about why don't these kids I have behave the way I want them to behave? It seems like what you're all sort of asking. Yeah. I'm going to take a few minutes, I think, if it's okay, if this feels okay to everybody, and talk for a minute about why kids do misbehave. Have you ever really thought about why my kids are behaving the way they're behaving? Do you ever give much thought to it?
Because of their miserable father.
Oh, is that what it is?
I'm pretty clear. To drive me crazy.
Oh, to drive you crazy.
I'm
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Push my button.
Yeah. You're on that. You're on board with that.
Like every day I come home, it's another thing. Like, leave me alone, kids. Why do you do this to me?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad you said that, because with all the parents I've worked with over the years, that's kind of the typical answer. Like, yeah, I know why they misbehave. They want to drive me to the loony bin, right? Mm-hmm. Drive me crazy.
It's on purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Here, Adrian, what you said is something really important. I do want you to know, we're going to focus on this for the next little bit this evening, that all behavior is purposeful.
So I'm right.
All of it, you're right. That all behavior has a purpose. But the purpose isn't to drive you crazy. Jesse's looking at you. Got that look, Jesse. Like, I'm pretty sure they're trying to drive me nuts. Then what is it? No. Listen to what I'm saying. Every time your son or your daughter misbehaves, there's a reason why they're doing it. But the reason isn't to drive you crazy. Now, here's the question. Would you like to learn why they're misbehaving?
Heck yeah.
Okay. I want to teach you, because if you understand why they're misbehaving, then that can help you as a parent figure out what you want to do to counteract that and not be driven crazy, right? Okay?
Yeah. Sure.
All right. So let me start, and I might get you and Matt to sort of move your chairs a little bit. I want to show you this on the whiteboard, and I want you to be able to see. There are 4 goals to misbehavior. Now, what do you think I mean when I say a goal to misbehavior?
What they're trying to get?
Right.
Okay.
Right, yeah. So there's 4 things that kids are very frequently trying to get when they misbehave. And I thought here this evening we'd talk about the first 2, because those first 2 tend to be the most common. All right? So let me show you this. The first one is attention. Oh, there's a reaction.
Really, that one.
Tell me about that reaction.
Well, I feel like it's all the time. Like I heard someone describe it almost as whack-a-mole, and I think it's true. Like, you try to get them to go to bed, and then one of them pops out and wants to drink water, and the other one wants to read a book. And with homework, meals, I think it doesn't matter what time. They're always, it can yell, it can scream, whatever, but they're still coming back out, and that just makes sense that they're just trying to keep the focus. Maybe
get some more mom time, right?
Right.
I feel like my kids just never shut off. I get in the house and it's just, hey dad,
oh,
what about
okay.
this? Can we do this? Mm-hmm. Like, can I get through the door?
Yeah.
Can you stop screaming at me? Because then I start screaming back at them, and my wife is like, stop screaming at the kids.
I need a minute, just a minute.
Yeah. It goes wild from there.
Yeah, Jesse and...
Yeah, just a second would be wonderful. It's like, even when people call, I can't get on the phone and have the kids not around me yelling and jumping. Mm-hmm. And it's really frustrating.
Yeah. Let me stop for a second. You may have noticed, as Jesse was talking, some of you may have noticed that I was looking around at the rest of you. Mm-hmm. Did you notice me doing that? Mm-hmm. It's because I want, when you're talking, I might even go like this, just to make sure that you're because there's so much good energy in the group for what you're saying, Jesse. I want you to see that Fran is going, yes, I know what you're feeling. And I want you to see that Adrian and Jen. So even when you're talking and sharing, be sure not to just share with me, but share with everybody. Okay? But yeah, that's so true. Like, just what is this about, right? Okay. Let me tell you how you know it's attention. And you're describing it, but no one has used the word yet. And I want to give you the word. When you're annoyed. Right?
And you desperately wish that your bathroom had a lock on the door?
Yeah. Because you
guys
can't
have a
go
lock on your bathroom door?
Okay.
You can't get one.
Okay. Adrian, let me stop you for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Let me just stop. That's okay. When you are feeling annoyed, that is your signal that that behavior that they're doing is to get attention. Every time, and this is going to be true for all 4 of these goals of misbehavior, every time they're misbehaving, the thing you want to do is stop and say, how am I feeling right now? How am I feeling? And
All the time?
Yeah.
All the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
How am I feeling? If you're sitting there going, I am so annoyed right now, then it's attention seeking. Now, we're going to talk about remedies for that, okay? But hold that in your head. If I'm feeling annoyed, it must be attention seeking. Jen, you've got a look on your face. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm wondering if I'm always annoyed. Because all the time, that's my reaction to them.
Annoyed all the time. As opposed to, let me show you this one. Now, hold that thought. The second goal is power. Have you ever thought, I'm in a power struggle with this kid right now?
Homework.
Or is that a new, homework?
Yeah.
Or is that a new idea for you? What's power?
Bedtime, they want to stay up and keep watching TV and whatnot.
Okay. And you say,
No.
go to bed.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to go to bed. I said
my
now.
gosh.
Yeah. Matt, what are you thinking about?
Dinner. Dinner is completely chaos. They never want to eat what I cook. They never want to have vegetables. If they had it their way, it'd be McDonald's every night.
Okay.
And that's not a way to eat. So
And
we
you
get
say, you
mixed.
can't eat that way.
Yeah, you have to eat something, and then they go screaming and running around, and yeah.
Okay. Now, what did I say? How are you going to know if it's a power struggle? You got to check what you're feeling. Okay, if it's a power struggle, you're going to feel angry. Or, put it this way. I see the faces lighting up.
Well, I'm just thinking, okay, with homework though, I mean, to get them to do it and do it well, I feel like I kind of have to win. You know, like I do, because otherwise they're not going to do it, they're not going to do well, and you know, that has a lot of really serious consequences. Like if they fail class, if they fail a test, like that's a big deal.
Okay.
And since we're the parents, shouldn't we win?
That's a good question. What do you think?
Like, you know, we set the rules. They're supposed to follow them.
I want to win.
Okay.
Yeah. All the time I want to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Win at all costs?
At all costs.
No matter what?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily feel like so much as that is, but the consequences, like I have to win because of what it would mean, you know, like
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like backed into a corner.
right,
Okay.
right. Like I feel like I have to fight for
Jesse,
it.
you're
Yeah.
go ahead. You're struggling.
I mean, I grew up in a household where my father had to win all the time, and I try not to do that with my kids, but now I'm finding that they're controlling everything. So, yeah.
Let me say this to you, and this is good. We'll have a good discussion about this. Here's what I want to caution you on. If you have win at all costs, I'm the parent, by God, I've got to win no matter what, you know, even with grades.
Yeah.
Do you do that and sacrifice the relationship that you have? That's my only challenge to you. Is if you have that attitude, do you sacrifice the kind of relationship that I think all of you have said you want with a good relationship with your son or your daughter?
It's
right?
happening, right? Yeah, and I don't like it.
And it damages the
Yeah, but it is,
relationship.
yeah.
Yeah. Let me say a little bit more about this. Let me show you one more thing. giving in, giving orders, giving choices. Three different styles of parenting. Think about this for yourself for a minute. Are you a giving in parent? Are you a giving orders parent? Or this one might seem a little like, what is that? Giving choices.
Number 2.
You give orders?
Yeah.
Okay. How's that working for you?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Not that well. It's a lot of anger, frustration in our house. Screaming, kids scream back, I scream. Hard to go to sleep. I question, am I a good father?
Okay.
I'm giving in, but it quickly. I feel like I'm doing the same thing where I'm giving orders though when the giving in doesn't work.
Okay, so you give orders,
Yeah.
and you give orders,
And it doesn't work.
and it
so I
doesn't
give
work,
in.
so you give in.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
That is so common. I mean, that is so super. I see Jessie shaking her head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you a couple of the pitfalls. I definitely favor one of these over the other. You
I'm
have
guessing
any-
it's not giving in.
No. No. You give in, you train them. Really, you train them or teach them that all you have to do is come at me hard enough, and eventually,
I'll fold.
oh, okay, right, yeah, okay, we'll go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right. Just to not fight about it,
Exactly.
just to not, okay. So that's not a really good strategy because then what Jessie was saying earlier, I feel like they're in control of this and I have no input.
They run right over me.
Yeah, okay.
Your kids run over me?
Okay.
Like,
So,
seriously.
Adrian, and you were saying giving orders.
Yes.
Okay, let me tell you about giving orders. This is the danger you run with giving orders. And I want y'all to think deeply about this. Really think about this. If you raise a child in a strictly giving orders environment, okay, eventually, when they leave the nest, they're going to have to take orders from somebody. And you might not like who they take orders from. Does that make sense? A child that is raised having been told what to do, to be blindly obedient, will go be blindly obedient to somebody else. Maybe
I want that
a
for my
negative
daughter.
boyfriend, or say some more about that.
I don't want to see my daughter do that. I mean, we're in the tween years, which is hard enough. But as she gets older, that's a really when you put it that way, that's a really, really scary thought to me because there are a lot of things I can imagine as a teenager, and I don't want her to fall into that.
Right,
with
yeah.
Other people. That's
So
scary.
giving orders has its downfall, and that's one of the main downfalls. Is if you're not careful, you raise a child who goes and follows somebody else who tells them what to do.
But that's like how I was raised. I play sports. My kids are going to play sports. And they need to follow orders. The coach says to do something, you got to do it. And that's what I know.
Is your coaching? Here's the question. I think I would say to that: do you want your parenting relationship to be a coaching relationship or a parenting relationship?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Okay. And let's keep talking about it.
Okay.
Does anybody have any clue what I might mean by giving choices?
do what I say or else.
That's it.
That's usually what I get. Yeah.
And pick my choice.
Exactly.
Yeah, do A or B, and I really meant do A, not B. But giving choices has a lot of good qualities as a parenting style, and let me tell you why that is. Kids naturally need to feel a sense of power. They need the second one on the board. They need to feel, in some ways, they have a sense of power and control. And if they are denied the ability to grow that sense of autonomy, they go after it. Not consciously. You get what I'm saying? Not consciously, but subconsciously. They do things to try to have power and control over their lives. So I think what it's up to us to try to do is find ways for them to maintain some power and control in the places that that we can sort of manipulate and have control, like homework. Yeah, what are some of the other things you were saying earlier, Jesse, you were saying, and Jen, you were saying, what are some of the other things that happen that sort of become a big fight at the house? You know, what are the big fights about? Eating.
Meals, bedtime, homework.
Curfew for us.
Okay.
Yeah, phone time and just having time to myself.
Okay.
Yeah, with the phone time, computer time, home internet, that's like a big thing.
Okay. So let's talk about this for a second. What are choices, other than the obvious do it or don't do it, right? What are choices that you could give your kids around some of these things that turn into big battles at your house? For example, who would like to, maybe we could pick one and just focus on that for a second.
I'd love some help with curfew.
With curfew.
Yeah. That's our biggest fight.
Okay. So we might talk about curfew, or then somebody, or homework. Are those kind of the two big ones?
Mine's like homework and then playing. Like we can never agree on anything.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, Jen, let's hold yours for a second. Let's do, I think, because so many of you mentioned the homework thing. Can we do homework first and then? Okay. Let's do that one first. What are choices that you can give around doing homework? Fran, maybe tell us a little bit about how that goes in your house. Like, how does that fight sort of unfold?
Well, we'd like to set the rule, like, you come home, you get the homework done, get it out of the way, and then you've got the rest of the night. But it turns into, well, I need to go check this for a minute, or I'm just going to go to watch this or play this game, and then I'll do it. It becomes this big fight. And I don't really see it as it's not okay not to do the homework. Like, you know what I mean? And
so that's not a choice.
Right.
Okay.
And so that's why I feel like, what kind of choice could I give? Because I feel like it's not okay to say, all right, like, it's up to you,
Let me stop you for a second. So you give the order, you're home from school, do the homework.
Go sit down, kitchen table, get it done, get it out of the way, and then you've got all night to play and, talk on the phone or text or, go play the video game, whatever it is.
You can see there's not much choice in that.
No, I guess not.
Okay. Yeah. So let's think. What are some choices? For some of you, you're thinking about your own situation, but let's take Fran's situation. What are some choices Fran could give about homework? What is the goal?
Get them to do the
homework.
Get the homework done.
Peacefully.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. Do you really care if it's done at 4:30 or 5 o'clock? Are you okay if it's done from 7 o'clock to 8? As long as it gets done, are you okay?
As long as it gets done, because, if we don't say do it right after, it's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and this, all of a sudden it's like 9 o'clock and, nothing has been done, or they're really,
okay. Let's focus on this. What are some choices Fran can give around homework?
Maybe they can start it a little bit later. Give them that choice to maybe play for a little bit and then do homework.
Thoughts?
You can do your homework whenever you want, as long as it's now 8:30. It's time to start winding down the day. And by 8:30, we're checking in and I'm seeing whether or not you've done it.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, you're on it. That's it. Time of day. Okay, you can give a choice around time of day. And I like what Jen...
And you think that would work? You think she wouldn't just be like, You know what I mean? It's kind of like
first she's going to go, who are you? Giving me a choice. I have a choice.
That's to do with my real mom, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You got to decide what works for you. I like Jen's throwing that piece in there about it has to be done by 8:30, right? Like, I like that because that would feel uncomfortable to you if it's 9:30 and it's not done.
Right.
That's an example. Time of day. Okay. You can do. And here, listen to the language. I want to teach this all to you too. And your daughter's name is?
Sarah.
Sarah, you have a choice. You can choose to sit down here at 4 o'clock and complete all your homework, or you may choose to wait till after dinner. It's up to you. It's your choice, as long as
it's done by
it's done by
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So
that's how you're supposed to talk to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I have very smart children that will say, that sounds like I still don't get to choose.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think, so for this example, it would be, Mom, what you just said to me is I can choose to do it your way or your way, but each way is your way.
Okay. Do you think they might feel a little more autonomous, though, with that, Jen?
Maybe over time, but I think I'm having the same problem of that first time that I try it. I guess I'm worried about the blowback of how they're really going to react to it the first time.
Okay.
I think I gotta trust whether she'll really do it, and that's kind of where I'm like, will she really do it if I give her the choice,
Right.
versus saying you must do it now.
What's your gut say?
I kind of see where you're going with it though, because I think she might feel sort of like what you said, the autonomy. Like she might feel like she has a little bit more power to choose. So if she wants to, or come home and watch some Disney for a little while and then go do it, she'd probably be happier as long as she really does it.
Right.
And that's
We're going to talk in later sessions, probably not this evening, but later sessions about natural and logical consequences.
That's what I want to know.
Okay. Yeah.
That might even be more
Right.
That might even be more
Yeah.
applicable to your curfew question too.
Yeah.
But let's stick
Makes
with this
sense.
for a second.
Okay.
Choice of time. That's one. What's another choice you can give around homework?
I guess I usually tell her to do it in the kitchen.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't think of
place.
that.
Yeah, place.
A place.
So if she wants to do it in her bedroom, you know, I guess.
But like, I
that'd
don't
be
trust my kids whenever they go in their bedroom because it's like they got the video games,
And the
they got the
TV
cell
and-
phones
Right.
and iPads, and it's like, are they really going to get it done? Like last week, that actually happened with my kid. Hey, I'm going to be at my house and I'm going to be in my room. I'm going to go do my homework. I sneak a peek in there and I see him playing on his iPad.
Okay,
I'm like,
so that's
okay.
not a good choice for your particular son, right? Bedroom is not a good choice.
I guess not.
Okay, is there a different choice? Do you see what I'm doing with this?
Yeah.
Are there places you got to be able to live with both choices?
Yeah, makes sense.
Whatever choice you give, you've got to be okay with. You can choose to do your homework in the kitchen, or you may choose to do your homework in the living room. Or you may choose to do your homework in the kitchen, or you may choose to do your homework on the back deck. Right? It's a nice day, the sun's out, maybe you want. Do you see what I'm getting at? Here's what I want to teach you about. We know these first two styles have some kickback that maybe you don't necessarily want.
Definitely.
We know that kids need to feel a sense of power and autonomy. Giving choices is one small way we might accomplish that. And then that keeps you out of the power struggle. The remedy for staying out of a power struggle is to give choices. That is the remedy. The remedy for attention seeking, and we can come back and talk about this. If you're annoyed, there's two things you do. You try to ignore it as much as you can, but the most important thing is you catch your child doing the appropriate behavior. Like, Adrian, if you walk through the door and they don't mad rush you, let's say they are pleasantly distracted playing or something, you gotta acknowledge that. You gotta go over and say,
Got it.
I like you guys playing like this. Looks like you've had a great day. You catch them doing that, and you try to reverse that behavior.
So next time I come in, they're like, oh, I got it. I got you.
A lot of parents will go, oh, thank God it's quiet. I'm going to go do
I'm trying to
that.
sneak
That's what I was
by.
thinking.
Like, they don't see me.
So what do they have to do to get Adrian's attention?
And then they jump, oh, he's here.
He's here. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. We can talk about that a little more because it sounds like it really applies to some of what some of you are going through. Let's do this. Let's stop our train here for a second. Let's have Fran, you and Matt pair up.
Okay.
And Jen, let's get you and Jesse to pair up, and Adrian, let's you and I pair up for just a second. Talk for about 2 or 3 minutes. What's being helpful about our group this evening? What's standing out to you? What's being helpful? Just process that for a couple of minutes. Okay? So what do you think?
I don't know, I guess for me it's just, I always saw it as either giving in or giving orders. Like,
Let me pull you all back for a second. Sounds like there's some good discussion going on. Adrian and I were having some good discussion. Tell me what you're talking about. What's standing out to you, or what's got you thinking about this whole parenting thing?
I might not have to win all the time.
Okay.
All the time.
Okay.
as we were talking about, we never thought that there was another option besides giving in or giving orders, you know what I mean? You kind of always think about it in that dichotomy.
Yeah.
But I think giving choices would at least help them feel like they have some kind of ownership over it.
Okay. Jesse, you or Adrian?
Mine is when they're doing good things, like let them know that, hey, that's good. I like this type of behavior, so they do it more often.
Yeah. That will help curb that attention seeking. If you try it and it doesn't work some for you, you come back and tell me. I'll be really surprised.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to it.
Jesse, how about for you? What's standing out to you?
Basically the same. The choices thing definitely has stood out. I didn't know that was an option, so.
Yeah. You didn't read the instruction manual?
I may have skimmed over it.
Well, I tell you, too, I want to share with you, I don't have it with me this evening, but I'll bring it to you next week. This all comes out of a great parenting book that I would highly recommend all of you take a look at. There's one for teenagers, there's one for younger children, so I'll share those with you again next week. But yeah, this parenting thing is so hard. One piece, I mean, it's the hardest thing ever.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and there isn't this instruction manual that just says, if child does this, then do this.
Would be nice.
Yeah. What I want you all to think about, though, is the one thing I don't want you doing is taking the old hammer and just beating yourself up over it. If you're beating yourself up because you've been in a power struggle and you've yelled over the, your wife says, Adrian, you're yelling, and you're beating yourself up over it, you got to put the hammer down. I admire all of you for coming and wanting to just learn about parenting and talk about the struggles that we're all kind of sharing as parents. Here's what I know about parents. And I believe this about every one of you in this room because I believe it about every parent. We are all doing the best we know how, all things considered. When you're parenting, I believe that you're doing the best you know how, all things considered. So please, if you're beating yourself up over making mistakes, put the hammer down. Try to take some ideas away from this group and see if you can make some shifts that might feel better to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
I think I was kind of monitoring the time that we're wearing dyads, and it really is about time for us to end this evening. I think what I'd like to do is, Matt, we might start with you and go around this way. Just, what's one thing you think you want to try differently this week? We're going to meet again next week. I hope everybody's able to and wants to come back next week and pick up this topic. What's one thing that you think you might try this week?
I think probably with meal times, just giving them a choice between two healthy options rather than being like, we're having green beans or, broccoli, give them an option between a couple different things. Okay. And that way they get to choose.
I hope you will, and I hope all of you will try something and come back and report to the group about how it went. It's not going to go smoothly necessarily the first time.
I really started thinking about what you're saying, that the most important thing is for her to do it. It doesn't really matter when or where, as long as it gets done. And so hopefully by giving her, she said, the power, to make that choice on her own. Because I don't want her to take orders from other people as she gets older. I want her to be able to think for herself and make good decisions.
Okay. Well, I think we all want that.
Yeah.
I mean, we all really do want that for our kids.
I get very annoyed, so I'm going to try to reward good behaviors just because they're athletes. The coach kind of gives them good praises and things. They start to do it more. So
okay,
I think that'll work for them.
We're looking forward to hearing how it goes.
Me too.
Jen?
Thinking about giving in and how if I'm giving in all the time, then I'm teaching my child to give in to somebody else. And I don't want to do that either. That seems incredibly dangerous. So giving some better choices for them.
Yeah, and I think because I grew up in a household where I was given orders, and now I'm giving in, which is the exact opposite. I think giving choices is something I'll definitely start doing.
There's something this week you think you can give a choice about?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to do, I thought about mealtime, but I think that maybe homework too. I may try all of them and just see what happens. Yeah, just throw it and see what happens.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, I hope this was a good experience for all of you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.